Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Blair. I'm the Sustainability Manager for the city, and I am thrilled to see such a full room. We have a condensed presentation this evening, because we specifically want to leave time for you to meet the focus group representatives, city staff, and our project team. So tonight's goals. There are two parts of the plan, and tonight's goals are to learn about how the city and community develop the plan, connect with city team members and other city residents, and understand the sustainability strategies in the plan, and identify what actions resonate with you and how you can get involved. There are two parts of the plan: the city operational framework, which highlights the city's goals for creating and maintaining a sustainable community, in addition to creating measurable actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The operational portion of the plan was a collaborative effort between all departments. The vision for the comprehensive plan was to have the larger portion of the plan to be the community action plan. To develop this portion, it was important to me to create a space where residents could get together in person and share their vision of a sustainable community. The result is highlighted in an updated definition of sustainability and divided into community actions, and community city actions. I would like to introduce the team that pulled all this together, and I'm going to ask them to just wave or stand up. Alyssa Boggs from the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, Colleen Turner and Nicole Roddy from Michael Baker, Brandy McCoy, Charlize Kramer, and Latoya F. from KLT, John Buck from Governance Alive, a leader in the field of meeting facilitation. Many of you had the pleasure of working with him. And my personal sounding board and support, Corrine Kubek. In the back, in addition to the many hats she wears, Corrine is also the city's volunteer coordinator, and to Alexis Williams, part of the Planet Focus team, and also my sustainability programs assistant. I think I have to go back now. Where am I? We kind of lost. Okay. So now on to what I think is my favorite part of the evening, publicly acknowledging our community champions that gave their time and energy in helping craft this first sustainability plan. In addition to acknowledging them in the written plan, we want to present this certificate of appreciation. And I would like to ask the representatives to come up and distribute the certificates to your group. I would also like our council, we have Council President Kyla Clark, we have Council Member James Cole, we have Council Member Jeffrey Mills, and who else do we have? Is that it? And I would ask them to come up also, say a few words, and to talk to the representatives. So with that, I'm going to read their certificate. Certificate of Contribution. In appreciation of your participation in the Sustainability Plan Focus Group, your outstanding contributions to the City of Laurel's inaugural Sustainability Plan, and your dedication to environmental stewardship, you have helped create a more sustainable future for Laurel. I'm going to read off the names of the representatives, and then I ask that you come up. So Jovith Sampson, under People, and Dave Everett, they were co-representatives. Planet is Alexis Williams. Prosperity is Jock 8, and Partnership and Peace is Cheryl Dyer. If you could please come up.
Thank you all.
Okay. Do you want to say something?
You want to say everything? Or do you want me to do? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We know how much work and thought you have put into this, and just wanted to stop by and say thank you, and that we appreciate all the time that you have given to making the City of Laurel better. I see a lot of familiar faces, but I also see people that are here all the time, and even with their hands to the soil out here helping with the City of Laurel. So thank you very much. As Ms. Blair said, we have Councilmember Jeffrey Mills here, who was previously on the tree board. We also have Chair of our Environmental Affairs Committee and previous Council President James Cole. Oh, and we also have Councilwoman Christine. I know, I was like, you did sneak in. Councilwoman Christine Johnson. Does anyone else want to speak as well? Council Pro Temp, would you like to say anything as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So, good evening, everyone. If you see me disappear, that means I'm supposed to be down the street. But composting and sustainability is dear to me. So while they were down there setting up tables and chairs, I wanted to be here. And so I wanted to say this is a great turnout, and glad to see everyone is here. And we have some work to do. So, and congratulations all.
Before everyone sits down, Cheryl and Dave, we want to get a group picture with the council before they have to bop out. Thank you.
And if anyone that sat on the committee, on one of the pillars, if you could come up as well, let's get a full group photo.
Come on, Jim.
Mike?
Mike? Don, Frank? Don, Frank? Margie? Mike, you sat on?
Let's do it over here.
Oh, well.
Who was the chair?
I have it over there. It was separate from all the others. Cheryl, slide over here.
Oh, yeah, Michelle gets in.
Okay, after the photos, guys, stay in that spot for me.
All right. Everybody look this way. And say, Green Laurel.
Green Laurel. I gotta do that too.
Perfect, thank you. Over here.
It ain't easy being green.
Don't move, Joyce said don't move.
Right. 1, 2, 3.
That was whack.
1, 2, 3.
Green Laurel.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so before I hand it over to our team, Michael Baker, I do want to acknowledge and to say thank you for attending our city staff, who was also part of the plan, because they worked with us, we all worked together on the operational side. So Mr. Tim Miller is the director of DPW, and he's hiding over there. Monte Burris, director of ECD. James Cornwell Shields, director of IT. Our deputy director from ECD, Sam Braden IV, who he's over there at volunteer. He can tell you all about the master plan. Sarah Green, our clerk to the council. Brooke Quilleran, our economic community development coordinator. And did I get it right? Tiamani, who works in who's our chief building inspector under FMPS. Our assistant director, Cinnamon Fisher. Laura, who works in our city administrator's office. Did I miss any other city staff? Joyce and Carmen, who are our communications team, who is making this all happen tonight. And this will also be shown on YouTube and the Laurel TV channel. So with that, I am going to hand it over to Baker. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nicole, and I work for Michael Baker International. So, as Michelle said, there were two parts of this plan, really, focused on government operations and the community framework. Both of those plans were developed by the people, as she said, and just told us all, the city staff and all of the focus groups. So these were plans that were developed by Laurel, for Laurel, and we're hoping that everybody in Laurel can work together to continue to move a lot of these actions and strategies forward that came out of the plan. So the plans are rooted in the Laurel's Green Living Initiatives, which you can find on their website. There's a lot of great work already happening in Laurel. The composting program is getting stood up. We have the Recycle Coach app, and there's a lot of environmental friendly things that the city departments are already doing. They're using foam stream for herbicides, and they are installing charging stations. So there's a lot of great work already happening in Laurel. And these plans really coalesce around that and try and move all of that work forward through a lot of actionable strategies and strategy tracking. So we're hoping at the end we can track all of the progress through a dashboard that is on Laurel's website. So as I said, there were two parts of the plan. We're going to really briefly discuss the operations part of the plan and the community part of the plan. We're going to start first with the operations part of the plan, and my colleague Colleen is going to come up here and tell us all about the data science around the operations part of the plan. I'll pass it off to her.
Okay, well, thanks, Nicole. I'm Colleen Turner with Michael Baker International, and I'm really thrilled to be here tonight. I can say that I've worked on a lot of climate action plans at the state and local level, and this one is unique. The community members that are here, the amount of people that are here, the city departments, it's really something special, so I'm excited to be a part of it. I have the task of explaining, at least briefly, emissions reductions in 4 to 5 minutes, so let's see how I do. It's sort of complicated, right? And you all know that. But we do have a lot of information set up here, so I would really encourage you, if you're interested in learning more about the background around emissions analysis and how we do it and how we account for different strategies, please come up and talk to us. But I'll begin with the city operations side. So we broke the city operations strategies and emissions inventory into 5 key sectors, so you can see them back here. Well, you can see them everywhere, right? So transportation, building and facilities, clean electricity, generation, solid waste, and then land use. And then we tried to group all the emissions and all the strategies associated with those sectors together. Okay, so let's take a look at our inventory. This is specifically for city operations. And again, we can get into details, but the high points here are, again, broken into those similar sectors. What do you see? What's the biggest sector of emissions? It's the vehicle fleet, transportation. You got it. Followed by buildings and facilities, and then streetlights and signals, solid waste, and then water, wastewater, which is, it's there, but it's so small you can't even see it, right? Like it's orange in that pie. So that's where the emissions were coming from in 2019, which was a good data year for reasons I'm sure you can all surmise what happened after 2019, right? For 2040, we projected emissions, right? So we wanted to say, okay, well, we know what it is in 2019. What do we think it's going to be in 2040? And we called that a business as usual forecast. So you can see the sectors are still represented by similar colors, right? So red is transportation and vehicle fleet. Buildings, again, yellow, and so on and so forth. So the business as usual forecast accounts for things that are, like, you can think of them as already on the books, things that you all in the city of Laurel are already doing with your government operations, and things that are also happening at the state and federal level. So it includes things like those bullet items that you see listed here. So you have emission reductions from already beginning to switch streetlights to LED. There's a benefit for that, and that's wonderful. You get benefits from switching landscape equipment to electric, and there's some details about that over here in this area that I'm gesturing at, the emissions area. But there are also some statewide things that are helping with decreasing emissions as well. And so that includes things like switching to renewable energy. Those are state goals, moving toward renewable energy by 2045. You have the Climate Solutions Now Act in Maryland, which has a net zero emissions goal by 2045. So those things are helpful too, but it's not, you can't only rely on that, right? So if you were to look at those business as usual forecasts, you would see that from 2019 to 2040, you're going to get like almost 42%. I think it says 41.5, right? Yes. So almost 42%, but can you do better? Bet you can. You sure can. So this is illustrative of what would happen if we were to look for a 75% reduction from 2019 emissions. And that gets us down to that green line. So you're achieving an additional over 30% emissions reductions. How are you doing it? How are you doing it? Next one. There's strategies, I swear. So this is how we came up with the strategies, right? So we thought about important things in addition to just emissions reductions. We were looking at things like feasibility. How long is it going to take to implement? Can you reasonably do it in a certain time frame? How much is it going to cost? And whether or not there were ways to offset that cost through potential funding opportunities. So there were a lot of things that we thought about when we were looking at strategies. And then we had discussions with a lot of people that Michelle mentioned earlier from the departments, right? We talked to the city departments to get an idea of what was already existing and what we could do better. And then we quantified those things, as illustrated in the graph before, into about 48 strategies. So these are specifically focused on the sustainable organization portion of the plan. There are strategies that we could model that result in greenhouse gas emissions, and those are listed here. Things like solar implementation, electrification of the fleet, diverting waste from the landfills, and then HVAC, still, lighting, all of those kinds of strategies, right? And we could quantify the emissions reductions, and that's what we were showing in the forecast at the 75% reduction level. And then there were some things that maybe we couldn't really get at an emissions benefit, but still really helpful strategies, and so we characterize those as sustainable. They're qualitative. We think maybe someday we'll be able to get an emissions reduction associated with that, but we didn't want to leave it out of the plan, right? So that includes things like green purchasing initiatives, tree plantings, offering priority parking for low emission vehicles, and those kinds of things. So included in the plan, not quantified. So imagine if you could quantify those, and maybe someday we'll be able to, right? So very exciting stuff. And with that, I'll turn it back to Nicole.
Thanks, Colleen. So that was a really, really brief overview of the operations plan, but Colleen will be here the rest of the night to answer all of your questions about greenhouse gases, and you can learn more. The plans are printed up here if you want to take a look at all of those strategies in depth. But we wanted to focus a lot of tonight on the community framework, because we have all the community focus group representatives here, and this is a really important part of the plan. So as we heard earlier, there were 4 different pillars that we had focus groups split into. These were people, prosperity, planet, and peace and partnership. These pillars were really the foundation of the plan and the foundation of our conversations. They were pulled from the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and then the focus groups kind of ran with, those thoughts and ideas that sprouted from there and made them their own. So a little bit of those themes. The people pillar is defined as embracing social equity, fairness, health, and wellness. This would include things like reducing poverty, reducing hunger, providing access to healthy food, improving educational opportunities. The planet pillar is practicing responsible environmental management and conservation. This would include things like composting and recycling, tree plantings, doing stream cleanups, planting native plants. Then also is prosperity. Prosperity is supporting local businesses and economic growth, local economic growth. So this would include things like affordable housing, improving Main Street to help with local businesses downtown, and other things of that nature. And then the last one is peace and partnership, which is joint environmental projects, social infrastructure education among various groups, the city and the community. So these would be things that the city and the community could come together on and really coalesce around. Something like the multi-service center, where there's the new multi-service center, where there's gonna be a lot of opportunities for volunteering. There's gonna be a lot of opportunities to help provide peace and partnership among the community. This would also include things like the community garden and improving the community garden. So, as we said before, we had great turnout from the focus groups tonight, so thank you for that. I am going to turn it over to Brandy, who's going to discuss a little bit about the community engagement, and John, who's also going to discuss the community engagement.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brandy McCoy. I'm with KLT Group. I'm one person representing our engagement team, also with the city staff and you all. So without a community to engage, we would not be able to do this, so thank you for participating. This was a picture from a year ago where we all started. You may recognize yourselves or the backs of your heads in some of these pictures, but this is one component of the community engagement process, which are the stakeholder interest groups or organizations. And the way that we classify that is we have resident-driven focus groups that John will talk about, but we have organizations that are in Laurel, supporting, contributing, are active, and love your community. They are local, but they're also regional entities. So we wanted to offer that space for you all to give us your feedback on the plan and sustainability initiatives. So we kicked off with the kickoff meeting. We then held 2 listening sessions where we had environmental advocacy groups, we had faith-based organizations, youth-driven organizations, the public schools. We had board business interest, as well as, I think I mentioned youth. They also got to participate in these listening sessions. You guys are all important partners in helping reach sustainability goals in the city, so we cannot be remiss to not mention some of these groups. And I'd like to kick it off with, we had Laurel Advocacy and Referral Services, so we had the social and community network supporting Laurel for the Patuxent. Some of you are also in the organization, but also residents. The Laurel Board of Trade, Prince George's County's chapter of Audubon Society, the Sierra Club, Chesapeake Bay Trust, First Baptist Church of Laurel, the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, Sacred Grounds, and St. Mark's Church, as well as Osei Shalom Synagogue. So we thank you for your participation in the listening sessions, but also being an active community member and also giving back to your community. Some key themes that came out of this, they also align with the strategies that were recommended by your focus group. So there's an alignment between what these organizations are doing in the city, as well as what the residents are thinking. So Nicole mentioned some of the pillars. There were people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. We heard from the groups that under people, they want to acknowledge the multicultural diversity within the city, raise awareness, develop campaigns that are educational and support your residents, enhance the social network that already exists, foster collaboration for resource sharing, diversify communication. We did hear a lot about making sure that we're looking at multilingual outreach, build partnerships like what's happening here, and strengthen and eliminate socioeconomic, cultural, and financial barriers. Under Planet, you'll find out more at these pillars. They want to enhance and promote partnerships, promote environmental education that they are already doing in their organizations, but also share amongst the residents. Create education and outreach programs focused on native plants, wildlife conservation, and addressing the developmental pressures that exist on habitat and green space in the community. Under prosperity, one of the key things that a lot of the organizations said that there are programs that have great models to implement. Some include like an economic mobility pathway model from another city in Boston, or Boston itself. Foster and continue collaborative relationships that are already ongoing between the city, but also the local community service providers. They also want to tackle poverty, housing, and affordability and income disparity within the city. And when it comes to peace and partnership pillar, these organizations, as they are community organizations, they want to partner and host community events. We hear about some of the great things like the Main Street Festival that happen, but they want to continue to do that within the community. And also do that to support the residents and their diverse needs. And also, you may hear some of these initiatives that are ongoing, like the Bio Blitzes, the City Nature Challenge, and making sure that we continue to encourage the active participation in environmental stewardship. So with that, I thank you. John will also dive more into what the focus groups, what you all did in your time, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, I don't need this because I only got one slide.
Oh, okay.
First of all, I hope for the City of Laurel that everybody is very proud of what you're doing. You may not know how unusual it is for the whole city to try to build a sustainability plan based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It's not very common, so congratulations. Our role in Governance Alive was to assemble the focus groups. That means there's a communication system that's in any city. It's called the Hidden Trust Network. So we had to find that so it would be able to talk to the city, because that often doesn't happen. So we went around and we talked to churches and clubs. We went to a couple of bars where we knew people gathered and said, who do you know, who would you go to if you wanted to find out about sustainability plans or the environment? We get names, we got about 26 names. Many of them are trust leaders. People go to them, and so we got them to develop many of the things that you see in all these plans here. That's where that all came from. And the most important thing of all these different goals up here is the partnership one. For this all to continue, for the city to work together, it's very important for the HOAs to talk with the churches, to talk with the clubs, to talk with the children. Believe it or not, one of the most important components that needs to get together is the children. And together, talking across to each other and the city, you can make it all work. So let's go for that. Thank you.
A little bit more about the focus groups that John was just cheering on over here. So we had 4 focus groups based off the pillars that included 26 community members, and they developed over 100 sustainability strategies. That's a lot of strategies and a lot of ideas, everybody. So that was awesome. That being said, we could not include all 100 in the plan. So the project team, in cooperation with the focus group leads and Michelle, were able to kind of consolidate and hone in and refine a lot of those strategies. There were a lot of overlapping strategies that came out of each of the pillar groups. And so here is just a very brief sampling of what some of those strategies are. But I do really encourage you to go over to the pillar section. You can read more about the strategies in each of those pillars. And I will say that in the plan, there will be little stars in there for ways that you can get involved in the city and how you can, it helps advance sustainability. So a few of those strategies include yourself converting some light bulbs over to LEDs, purchasing a hybrid electric vehicle, participating in the community-wide composting program prior to the July of 2025, upgrading to energy-efficient appliances, planting native species and pollinator gardens, volunteering to promote sustainability in the city. You're going to hear more about that from Michelle at the end. Utilizing public transportation and utilizing the city-run recycling activities. As I said, the plan denotes where there's opportunities there. And also, I think everybody got the municipal calendar, which has dates for all of those fun activities like regular recycling events in the city. So from that, there were a few recommendations that came out of the plans that we're hoping will help to push these efforts forward. So we did talk with Michelle about having a lot of the movement from this coalesce in the city action committees. She's in the process of trying to create a sustainability action committee and bring them all together. They're all kind of working in silos right now, and we want them to start talking to each other, right, about how all of them have sustainable actions that they can work together on. Updating the city's greenhouse gas inventory, developing a dashboard to provide some transparency, but also so that, you know, we can track our progress on these actions. They already have started developing the composting dashboard, so everybody will be able to get on and see how great the city is doing with its composting, and you know how many metric tons you're composting, and maybe how many elephants that is a year or something. Fun. And a really big outcome of the plans was communication. It was a theme that ran throughout all of the pillars, was improved communication. Part of that is staying connected with the focus groups to create grassroots outreach. We had a really, as John said, we were able to really get a lot of grassroots outreach through the focus groups to help everybody come out for this. Is a great turnout, but also participate in a lot of the other events we held. So like I said, the theme was improving strategic communication. They're already trying to provide some transparency with creating and developing a dashboard. They're in the process of doing some great stuff with policy implementation. And right now we're presenting, so we're hoping that improves the audience understanding of some of this work. And then they've also been working really hard to coordinate with stakeholders and the audience. And I know that the focus group members personally hit the pavement to put out some flyers and mailers for people. And then also, the city has been working to update its website. They just launched a new social media platform, Sustainable Laurel. You can find out a lot of information in the Laurel Independent. Obviously, there's in-person events, and then you have that great municipal calendar that they got printed this year that has a lot of opportunities in there. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle to really provide you with a call to action. Oh, sorry, I went too far.
So that concludes our presentation. I hope you enjoyed learning about how the plan was developed. This is a living document. It will change and evolve over time with the input of our community, city staff, and the ever-changing regulations landscape. It is important to keep the plan alive and vibrant. We can only do that if the community continues to breathe life into these actions and work together to nurture and grow the plan. I have been extraordinarily lucky to have the support of the administration, most notably our mayor and council, and the one who's hiding over there, Christian Pulley, our city administrator, who has been my support from the very beginning. This is a long process, so I do want to make a special shout out to our city administrator. This is a plan, as John was saying, that is unique in how we put it together and really wanting the input of the community and creating a safe space that you are able to have your voice heard. And we want to continue to hear that voice. And so with that, please visit our volunteer table, sign up for events, attend meetings, be part of our next master plan. Go to the LCU. I know that some people, Jackie, you just finished, the Laurel University. It is a phenomenal program that explains all of city events and how we function as a city. You know, how we do things, where all this fits in. And it's important for you to understand the process so you can be part of the process. And it's up to us to keep this plan alive and to nurture it and to get to the next step. So you can also be part of the master plan over there that we're also developing this year. So stop by and see Sam. And I thank you all for coming. Please go by and talk to the focus group people and see what they were up to and how they feel about it, because there's room for us all. And I thank you. And don't forget, so the other thing I do want to point out is that you will notice that there really isn't a trash can here. And that is because everything is compostable or recyclable. So your plates, your silverware or your dinnerware, the cups are all compostable. So it is possible to get to zero waste, meaning that not that you never generate any waste, but that everything has a life after we use it. So that's really what zero waste is. And we also have compostable take-home containers, so please feel free to take home some nibbles for later. Okay, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the evening.